nor heard one from afar, nor seen the aftermath. I have never felt that way. Even in my youth, war's aftermath was painfully obvious to me. When my mother was 6, her father was killed in the Pacific. When she was 8, her maternal grandfather died during the assault into Germany. Those 2 losses ruined both my mother and my grandmother. Neither woman ever fully recovered from the war that broke their family apart. I grew up in a house with ghosts, where the stories of 2 men and the war that took them inspired me, but haunted my mother. I am convinced that these legacies of loss are more common and enduring than most Americans like to acknowledge, particularly today, after 11 years of continuous military operations in Afghanistan and 8 in Iraq, and with living veterans from 3 other previous wars. The aftermath of battle is everywhere. Most of us, however, are not willing to confront it fully. Every book is the product of a specific time and place. This one is no exception. Except for this preface and the final edits, I wrote every chapter between 2002 and early 2010, a time when I felt an enormous obligation to serve in combat, yet did not volunteer for mobilization. That has undoubtedly colored some of the interpretations that follow, though in what specific ways I cannot say. These were also years when the prestige of military service gained the added fuel of real sacrifice, which has led various politicians, pundits, and organizations to try to appropriate that prestige and sacrifice for their own purposes. As a result, the military's cultural apparatus, its symbols, images, ideologies, and texts, have grown markedly more present and powerful in American society over the past decade. That, too, has operated in the background of my writing, for good or for ill. I have dedicated this book to my mother, her father, and her grandfather, 3 individuals who are all, to my mind, casualties of war in one way or another. But I would also like to dedicate it to the living, and in particular to my wife, Bridget, who has supported me both in the writing and in the military career that has taken me away from her for the past 8 months. And finally, this book is for the many Marines and their families who have shared their stories with me during my 17 years in the Corps, and whose sacrifice has been so much more significant than my own. Semper Fidelis. Kabul, Afghanistan, May 2011. Introduction. Culture Warriors. You Marines don't trust anybody, do you? President Harry S. Truman to the Commandant of the Marine Corps, 1947. Before World War II, the United States Marine Corps was tiny, unpopular, and institutionally disadvantaged. Numbering just 50,000 men, it accounted for only 3% of the active-duty military in June 1941. As a separate naval service inside the Department of the Navy, the Marines had little control over their budget or equipment purchases, and always came second in the Secretary of the Navy's attention. Their highest-ranking officer, the Commandant of the Marine Corps, was a 2-star Major General and had no seat on the newly created Joint Chiefs of Staff, nor were they as popular or well-respected as they are today. In a wide-ranging national opinion survey conducted just before Pearl Harbor, both young men of enlistment age and their parents named the Marines as the least attractive military service, attributing to them a reputation for rowdiness and hard living. By the start of the Vietnam War, the Marines' position in American society and the Department of Defense was quite different. The Commandant was, by this point, a 4-star general with a seat on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. A strong bipartisan coalition of lawmakers in Congress had authored a series of legislative protections for the Corps, which prevented the President from making major cuts to its manpower or funding. A broad network of journalists who had served in the Corps defended its interests in print. The things the